neighbor, and it's one the world needs to hear. Take a look. Well, Eyal, we are here with you today on terrain that is very familiar for you. As a lieutenant colonel in the Israel Defense Forces, you helped run an incredible program called the Good Neighbor campaign. We see Syria not very far away in the distance. We're on the Israeli side of the Golan Heights today. And man, the Good Neighbor campaign was a real game changer.
We decided to increase dramatically the humanitarian aid we provided to the Syrian people, and then the I.D.F, the Israeli Defense Forces, decided to establish that unit. I was called to duty in June 2016 and establish a unit, and the mission of that unit was to think 24/7 about the enemy, or let me correct, about people living in an enemy country.
Which was racked by civil war. I mean, from 2011 on, hundreds of thousands of people killed in Syria. And that has an effect on Israel as well.
Yeah, on that border, not far away from us, we find Al-Qaeda and the ISIS and Hezbollah, all the people that do not like the state of Israel.
Right. Iranian regime,
proxies, the Shiite militias. A lot of guys that their goal is to threat the state of Israel. So we had some security challenges. One of the thinking behind this project was that let the people who is living there in severe terms, people living without electricity, without water, people that do not have schools, clinics, hospitals.
Women, children,
babies. Imagine a baby born in a tent without heat warmer, living without a heat warmer. This was their lives, 250,000 people. And we decided to give them humanitarian aid, first of all, because this is something that we should do to help our neighbors. It doesn't matter that they are enemies or living in an enemy country. And it was an understanding that we can maybe change their mind, because they were educated to hate us. In their stories, Israel is the devil. And it was the first time in history that we had the ability to meet with them, to speak with them, and to let them show by actions, not by words.
Yeah.
To let them realize who our Israel is.
Yeah, and it's amazing, Eyal, like you said, because look, 1967, 1973, right here on the Golan Heights, major battles between Israel and Syria. The two countries technically still in a state of war.
Of course. The easiest thing to do was to be behind the fence that we built.
Right.
To stay here in the Golan Heights, to take the position, and if the enemy will choose to attack Israel, we can react. Nobody asked us, nobody forced us to open the fence 700 times in 2.5 years. 700 times.
It's between 2016 and 2018.
Yeah, 700 humanitarian mission aid. And when we were speaking about humanitarian operation, it means to risk your life going at a dark night with rain and fog, open the fence to do something good. One of the projects, we call it a doctor's visit, is the mission was to take 25 children, sick children, not wounded children, sick children with chronic diseases. Once a week, we open the fence for them. Can you imagine 25 little children between the ages of 1 year to 14 stepping on a dark night? Some of them
it's cold out up here.
Some of them without coats, some of them barefoot, on a rainy night, entering the state of Israel, going to one of the Israeli hospitals in the north. Here we have 3 of them, treated by our experts like they were Israeli citizens, and going back to Syria. But when they're in the hospital, and it wasn't a mission, the mission was to bring them to the hospital. The mission wasn't to play with them or give them something to paint or draw, but those are kids. Those are kids.
Scared kids.
With rough stories, tough stories. You can see the fear in their eyes, and it becomes something humanitarian to do. And when we saw them smiling here in Israel, we understood that we are doing the right thing to do. And again, it doesn't matter, Jews, Muslims, Christians, people to people, human beings to human beings. This was the most exciting part. 1,400 children visited the state of Israel in that project.
Syrian children.
Syrian children going back to Syria and starting to show that maybe the Israelis are not so bad people.
Well, coming up after the